This lesson is on piecewise functions. A piecewise function is two or more functions put together to form one function. So here is a piecewise function, and you really start over here on this right side because this is your domain, and your domain is from 0 to infinity, but it has been split. So the domain is the set of x values, and if your x values are between 0 and 10, where 10 is included, then you use the top function. But if x is greater than 10, you're going to use the second function. So to enter a piecewise function, we'll go over to A1 and we'll type in x. This column will be my x values, and then my B column will be my f of x values. And so remember, we're going to get to put in whatever we want here. And so the first thing to notice is that the x values are going to all be greater than 0. So I'm going to just start with 0, and the domain is split at 10, so I'm going to count by ones, and I wouldn't want to stop at 10 because then I'd only see the top function. I'm going to go from 0 to 20. Then over here in cell B2, I'm going to enter my piecewise function, and you have to do it this way. You can't split it up at 10. So the way that you type in a piecewise function is the following. You go to this function bar, and there's an fx symbol there, and it says insert function, so you click on that. And Excel knows about piecewise functions. It's called the if command. So I've got it most recently used, so if comes right up because it's used very frequently, but let's say it's not there. What you can do is select the category all, and then all the function commands that Excel knows about are in alphabetical order. And so here, if you want to search for a function, you need to know that it's called the if function, and then you go, and if will come up. Okay. So highlight if, click OK, and then this dialog box opens up, and the way it works is this way. The logical test is where you put in the first part of the domain. You never need to put in this 0 is less than part, because that 0 is less than got taken care of when you started with 0. It has to be greater than 0, so you start with 0. So that never goes into a dialog box, but this part right here where it says x is less than or equal to 10 is what goes in box 1. And so we never type in x, remember that. We just need to type in the cell where our x values are. So I'm going to click on cell A2, and then shift less than, it's right above the comma, and then equal to, and then 10. Okay, and then it says the value if true. So it's saying that if x is indeed less than or equal to 10, then you're going to use this top function here. So in box 2, you'll type in the top function, and it says x squared. Remember, you don't use x, so we're going to go click on cell A2, square plus 3 times A2 plus 5. Then it says box 3 says value if false. Well, the opposite, or the false statement for x is less than or equal to 10 is x is greater than 10. So you don't need to type this in. This is the opposite. This is the false. So the box 3, you would just type in the second function. So 3/5 times cell A2 minus 10. So everything is in. So this is box 1. First function is box 2. Second function is box 3. Click OK. And then you just drag it down, and it knows that when it gets to 11, it's going to change functions. Now we can graph this to check it out. So I'm going to highlight columns A and B and insert a scatter plot with only markers. And there's your function. Okay, so to review, let's see, this part here goes in box 1, and then the first function goes in box 2, and then the second function goes in box 3. And then remember, it's a very common error, this 0 right here does not go in the dialog box, the if function dialog box. It goes right here. You tell Excel to start at 0. Okay, example 2 is a word problem. It says the price V of T in dollars of eBay stock during the 20-week period starting July 1st, 2004 can be approximated by the following function of time T in weeks. Graph V. So we have a piecewise function. Our independent variable is T. Our dependent variable is V of T. The domain has been split. T is greater than or equal to 0 up to 20. So we're going to start with T equals 0. We're going to count by ones, and we're going to go to 20 and stop there. Okay, then to enter the piecewise function, you don't start with equal. You go to the FX box, you find the if function, and you want this dialog box to appear. And so our logical test, remember this 0 has been taken care of. We're going to start with T is less than or equal to 5. We do not type in T. We type in the cell A2 where the T's are located. Less than or equal to 5. Box 2 would be the top equation, 90 minus 4 times cell A2. Box 3 would be 60 plus 2 times A2. Drag it down. Let's graph it. And so here is our graph of the price in dollars of eBay stock. You can see it goes down for the first 5 weeks, and then it goes back up. Okay, now let's answer some questions. First question is find the value of the stock 5 weeks into, there's a typo, or after July 1st, 2004. So our variable T, our independent variable, T stands for weeks. And so we're given T is 5, and we want to find the value. The value is your Y value. So if we just look here, we will see that at 5 weeks after 2001, July 1st, 2001, the price is $70. Then it says, when will the stock be $82? So this is one where we are given the output. The dependent variable is 82, the value is $82, but we do not know the input. Now this problem is a little bit more straightforward than some that you're going to have, because you can actually find the 82 here and here. But I wanted to take a minute to explain goal seek. So I want you to notice that when you're given an output-input problem where you're given the Y value is 82, you can draw like a horizontal line through the graph, and you can see that there are 2 answers. See, there's one here and one here, and we know that that's 2 weeks and 11 weeks. But let's say it doesn't show up on our values. What you can do is actually do something called goal seek, but you have to help Excel out. So what you're going to do is you're going to drag down the formula 2 more spaces, okay? And you have 2 answers. So what you have to do is you have to help Excel out, and you have to look at the graph and you say, okay, I see the first answers happening in a ramp between 0 and 5. So you have to type in a guess number. Now I'm just pretending. Say I don't know, so my guess number is 3. Then what you want to do to goal seek is you want to click on this Y value, which is 78, and you're going to go to Data, What If Analysis, Goal Seek, and it says Set cell and it says B23. That's why I clicked on it first, so that it would put in the right cell. And to value, we want it to be 82. And by changing cell, we want to click the cell A23 and click OK, and it'll find it. Now, why do we have to do this? Well, I can't just type 82 in here. See the formula? There's a formula in here. But if I type 82 in here, then the formula goes away. So you can't make, it won't find the X value. So you have to use goal seek in order to do that. Now, why did I have to put a guess number in? Well, let's say there's nothing in here. It thinks it's 0. And you know that the second answer happens here. Well, if I just goal seek right now with 0 in that cell A2, it's going to find 2 again. And the reason it does this, is why I'm going over this, is to understand Excel. When you type in, say, find 82, it's going to start searching on this function for 82, and it's going to stop. It's going to start at 0 because you told it to look around 0, and it's going to stop as soon as it gets to 82. And so you have to help Excel out. And so you have to look at the graph, and you have to say, all right, well, second answer, the second 82 happens somewhere between 10 and 15. And so if I put a guess number in there, like 12, I'm saying, hey, Excel, look around 12 first, and it'll start looking around 12 and stop when it finds it. So you have to type a guess number in. Now here we go. I'm going to click on cell B24 and go to Data, What If Analysis, Goal Seek. I want to set the B24 cell to 82. That's my output value, 82. And I want it to find the X value that's going to make that happen. And I'm telling it, hey, Excel, look around 12. And it will. And it found 11. So that's how you goal seek. And this basically confirms our answer. Again, 9 times out of 10, you won't have the answer staring at you in your values that you picked. You will have to goal seek. Okay, so the answer is 2 weeks after July 1st, 2004 and 11 weeks after July 1st, 2004, the value is $82. Okay, final example. Example 3 is a word problem. It's from your lab manual, number 1 on page 16. The Pierce family is planning their dream vacation. They want to travel to the Cayman Islands. They will do a live abroad vacation, which is like a floating hotel. The price includes accommodations, food, and beverages, air tanks for diving, and dive assistance. In other words, it's all inclusive. The prices for a 5-day stay are as follows. $5 a day if the total number of dives is 10 or less, plus $750. And $3 a dive if the total number of dives is more than 10, plus $750. A says, express the cost C as a function of the number of dives D. Use the if function in Excel to build a table and graph the values from 0 to 20 dives. Then in B, we're going to find the cost for diving 8 times. And then C, we're going to find the cost for diving 15 times. So this is a word problem where you have to write the function. Anytime you want to write a function, you want to define your variables. And I've given you the letters to use, and so you have to use those letters. And so first thing is the independent variable is D, number of dives, because the cost depends on how many dives you take. So we're going to let D equal the number of dives, and then in function notation, C of D, that means that if you know the number of dives, D, you'll know the cost. C of D is the cost, so we have to do that first. Then, if you read carefully, you can see the domain has been split at 10 dives. So it says there's 2 different prices. It's $5 a dive if you have 10 or less dives, plus $750, and it's $3 a dive if you have more than 10. So if we start here at the domain, it's weird. It's the second thing that you see, but it's really where you start. So the first split of the domain would be, you can't have negative dives, so that's where the 0 comes from. 0 is less than or equal to D. And if your number of dives is less than or equal to 10, then your cost is $5 a dive plus $750. So that would be 750 plus 5 times the number of dives D. But if you dive more than 10 dives, if D is greater than 10, then it goes down to $3 a dive plus 750. So there's our piecewise function. And now we're going to use Excel to find these values. So again, we start the domain at 0 because we're told D has to be greater than a 0. And in this case, you can't have half a dive, so we know we can count by ones. And we got to go past 10 because that's where the domain is split. So let's go up to 20. Then we're going to type in use the if function for piecewise. So we go to fx. There's our if command. There's our dialog box. D is less than or equal to 10 is our first box. Then the top equation, 750 plus 5 times cell A2 is our second box. And then our second function, 750 plus 3 times D is our third box. And we'll drag it down. Let's look at a graph. You always want to look at a graph to see what we've got here. And so now we can answer question B. Determine the cost of diving 8 times. So we're given our D value. So this is an input-output question. These are always a lot easier. Don't have to goal seek. The cost would be $790. And then the cost of diving 15 times would be $795. Now, I'm going to add one more question, and that would be something like, let's say, how many dives could you dive if you want to spend $800? And remember, this is an output-input question. So a little harder, and you can look at the graph and you can see looks like 2 answers. So we have to goal seek. Not because there's 2 answers, but because it's an output-input. So I'm going to drag this down twice, and I'm going to guess 10, and I'm also going to guess 17. So I'm just putting in some guess numbers so that when I goal seek, Excel knows where to look. So if I put the 10 in there and I want to goal seek to 800, and I can see that that's exactly what the answer is, but I'm going to do it anyway. Then what I'm doing is I'm telling, hey, Excel, look around 10 and stop when you get to 800, and it does that. And then this one, if I didn't put 17 in here, it would find 10 again. You have to tell Excel, hey, Excel, look at 17, or look around there. So if I goal seek to 800, I get 16 2/3 dives. So this answer isn't really practical for this problem, but I did want to go through goal seek one more time. And there is the key, and I'll post this, and you want to do all the piecewise functions and practice those. So the piecewise functions are in the lab manual, are on page 16, and we've done the first one. There are 6 more to do, and make sure you do all of those, and I'll have a key posted for you to check your answers.